really briefly here, guys, this is what it looks like to have on my camera and a spotter. I'm a huge fan of Maven, and thank you to Maven. Shout out real quick. They've been an excellent supporter of hunters, long-range precision shooters, pretty much everything in between. And this spotter, this is their S3 20-40 by 67. Incredible image, wonderful spotter, very practical. Range of magnification breaks down really easily, and I'm locked into that Arca on this side, and because it has a built-in secondary place, I can put my camera, there we go, I can put my camera in there and I can film and record things at the same time, or I can run another pair of binos or my Kestrel or whatever else I want it to be. Not to mention you have all this open real estate in the middle for another device, so very often I can even run a wind flag or something else. I actually have an anemometer sometimes that gets thrown on there. And all that real estate allows for quite a bit of versatility. You can see I actually throw on a monitor sometimes or my phone onto another Sunwayfoto device here. I've got a little extended arm and the TT-03, which is holding the phone. So this is a really cool idea. Sitting on the 40-40 tripod right now. Just gives you a lot of options where normally a single Arca clamp is only going to give you one option. And a lot of times in rifle competitions, to be honest with you, I might have two tripods with me, and sometimes that's not enough. So I have a rock bag or another component from Sunwayfoto, and I still like to use this tack table. They're very, very useful, and I can highly recommend this at the price. There are tack tables that are 4 times the price of this and not as versatile and don't have 2 locations to Arca clamp into. It's not built that way. You would have to find your own solution for that. This one seems to solve a lot of the problems on its own. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Totin' Minnesotan. My name is Andrew, and I want to tell you there's a brand that I had my eye on for quite a while. I had started up a relationship with them early on in their manufacturing, and that brand was Sunwayfoto. I have had a lot of faith in their development process, their improvement process, and their manufacturing since the beginning, because they found a space in the market where they were doing unique things. They were doing stuff that other people weren't willing to try, and they were willing to improve on their products. And initially, I think one of the first products I tried out was something camera related, camera gear, because with the channel, obviously I'm using lots of cameras and lights and fixtures. But then I moved into some of their other products like tripods, and I noticed that they had outdoor high quality tripods, and they kept improving on the features and the designs year after year. And this is one of my favorite tripods from Sunwayfoto. This is the Sunwayfoto 40-40 CS. It has a quick adjust head with a single throw. This can be tensioned to fit maybe like a heavier rifle on it and still move around a little bit, or just be totally loose and then lock it down. It's been a really reliable tripod. I have on the top the STC50 head, which is Picatinny as well as Arca compatible. Picatinny as well as Arca compatible, and it does work for all my camera gear as well when I need to use it in that way. Has a couple accessory spots. Up here there's a 3/8, or you can put an adapter that it comes with for a 1/4 inch. There's just so many different ways I can use this tripod. It gets pretty tall, and it's got an adjustable head on my particular model. It's not actually what I'm going to talk about today though, because a lot of times on top of this, I will mount an accessory plate that is really useful. It's an Arca plate or a tack table, some people will call them. That is what I actually want to talk about today. A really well manufactured tack table from Sunwayfoto. This is the TT-01. Couple things really quick before I get into the actual review. I have a few extra pieces in here, like I put some paracord on here because I'm always clipping stuff on, and then I have a hook underneath. A lot of times I'll end up putting my bag in a competition underneath here, just so I have a dry spot to rest it instead of throwing it in the slush or the snow. I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted up. So one important thing about this particular tripod, like I said, is it has an adjustable clamp. So I can get this tightened down really, really, really well, and then I can entrust thousands of dollars of gear to sit on top of that. And you're gonna see there's 2 adjustable Arca clamps here. This is important too. I need these to be really high quality when I'm putting in a spotting scope or a camera, things that cost thousands of dollars. And there's a whole board of options on top. Maybe I should quickly just show that. You have a set of 1/4 inch here for accessories, which I'm going to be throwing in my phone holder from Sunwayfoto in a second. And then on top, you have 3/8 and 1/4 inch. And these are just some extra hardware that I've kept in here. It comes with 2 accessory plates that I am using for different things. Here's an example of one. This is a Sunwayfoto accessory plate, and this plate fits into this notch really well. And I can tighten it down. I feel like it's really secure. And on the plates that are removable, they also have a lot of different options depending on what you need to mount. And I can't imagine a scenario where these aren't useful. Pretty good plate. But let me throw in some of the things that I have been using. I'm going to start by actually throwing in the Sunwayfoto arm. This is the GA01. I've already done a review on this, if I remember correctly. A lot of times when I need a monitor for my cameras, or if I'm spotting with the long shot target camera systems, it's a 2-mile target camera system for ELR, I can actually attach this to the same place as my spotter. So I can spot, and then I can also see with like a 1.5 second delay my camera footage on my camera, or on my monitor rather. So that's a very specific use, but it's actually a pretty good use for my channel. I need to have a monitor with that camera system. And this is also a Sunwayfoto product. Now that I think of it, underneath, this is the PC03, which gets big enough to hold phones, like XL size phones and even tablets. So when I'm spotting and I need a camera mount, I can mount this in here, and it's all attached to this one tack table, which is very useful. So I'll just push this down and I can get it out of the way and then actually see myself with my phone as a monitor and work my camera from there, which I'm recording on. Now I'm going to show you how I sometimes might set this up, or just give you some ideas of what you could set this table up like. Now here I have a Sunwayfoto plate underneath. I do have the Sunwayfoto PH-01G, which is specifically for spotters or binos. And then attached to that is the BTA, I think that's the BT-01. Yep, the BTA-01 binocular adapter underneath, and it fits, believe it or not, that adapter fits these large barrel binoculars. Really impressed with that piece of gear. It's a hard thing to design really well for the gamut of binoculars that people use, and this one works with all the binoculars that I personally own. It's a nice little setup for me because I can control my binoculars, and if I'm in a competition and I need to be a little more dynamic and move around the range, I've got these Track Toric 12X's. Thank you, Track, for sending those out to the channel. I can put on pan and track a wide field of view, a wide field of targets. And then if I have elevation changes at the same time, I can actually control it left-handed, once again, while actually looking at my monitor back here for target impact cameras. I don't have to run it on the PH-01G. This is just kind of convenient and giving you some ideas of how you might want to run it, especially if you have a lower tripod. This gives you a little elevation, gets you up a little taller. Depending on the shoot, I may also want to run a camera in a certain direction or actually facing towards me, just depends what I'm doing. So I have an ARCA compatible plate for my DJI Action 4. And I totally trust this to hold these things, be reliable, so much so that I'll put on my most expensive spotter, which thank you to Zerotech for sending this out. They've been phenomenal sponsors of the channel for a long time, and I wouldn't have the partnership unless their gear was good. If it sucked, first of all, I would sell it. I wouldn't have it in hand, but it doesn't suck. It's very, very good. And this spotter I've used beyond a mile. I plan on using it at 1.5 miles this spring. I've got an opportunity to go shoot out to 3,500 yards. I'm not sure that I'm going to get all the way out there, but if I go on that trip, this is coming with for sure. It's a spotter with a reticle. The OSR reticle is excellent. But you can tell I'm entrusting around $3,500, something like that, in gear on top of this. Then throw in your wind meter or your Kestrel in the middle and a camera off the side and hang a bag and your accessories. The nice thing about these plates is that they can hold so much, and these tripods are so strong. I mean, they can hold my full-size PRS rifle, which is 26 pounds when it's fully loaded. It can definitely hold this little bit of gear securely, and I trust the clamps on this. They feel like they're really engaging precisely the full length of each plate that I put in, and I do try to run Sunwayfoto gear with other Sunwayfoto gear, make sure everything's in spec. I just find that their manufacturing is a little better than others. Something cool for content creators is the ability to not only do this, but also throw in something like a scope and do a scope comparison. So I have some Sunwayfoto Picatinny adapter plates that are Arca on the bottom. They Arca into this, they're Picatinny on top, and I can put my scopes on and I can compare two scopes at the same time in the same light without trying to mount one and take one off and trying to hold them with your eye. It's really nice just to throw them up on a tripod. And this mount allows me, technically, I've been able to fit 3 scopes on here at the same time, mount them up, and just get a view of each reticle or glass quality. That's one of the ways that I compare things off camera that you guys don't usually see, and it's really convenient for binoculars. I struggle with binoculars to get a close comparison. Usually I have to walk from tripod to tripod, going back and forth, and I try to do it as quickly as I can so my memory is still good of what the last image looked like. And I like being able to just bounce back and forth. Another application with this is if you have 2 areas, let's say a close target at like 400 yards, and then you have a far target at like 1800 yards. You can set this up for your 1800 yard target on this mount. You can position the whole thing towards that. And then because I have this on the PH0G1 or 1G, whatever it is, I have this position, I can set this up and move it around to be facing another target. And I can just switch from one to another. Another thing that I like to do is have a reference flag hang off of here. I took it off right now, but I think I'm gonna use one tomorrow at a match. I'll just hang a little bit of orange trail marker. It works really good for wind calls, and that'll hang down here and kind of give me an idea of what the wind is like right where I'm at. That really only matters in NRL 22 to get that kind of read for me, but it's some sort of reference marker, and I have something here that I can work with. Also have these clips on here. I have done something a little risky. I've hung bags off of here, full-size weighted sandbags, as well as light backpacks. I switched to using the underside hook, which I attached here with a 3/8 hook. And I'm telling you, this thing can hold the weight. So I have a Sunwayfoto tripod. I have one of the Sunwayfoto rock bags underneath for accessories. And then I hang a backpack and another side satchel pouch over here. It depends if it's really snowy and mucky and I need to keep everything dry, which in Minnesota seems like it's a little too often. I've been able to hang all of that off of just this one plate, and I'm not seeing it bend. I'm not seeing the neck give way. Nothing about this plate seems weak. It's actually just a really well-designed product, and it's way more useful than you think it would be. You don't have to be a content creator to find use in something like this. So again, here's just one way that I was using my tack table. I had a GoPro, or actually it's an Action 4 on there, and then I've got my spotter hooked up with a camera so I can get some footage from that for long range stuff. And I really enjoy using the tack table because I just change things out so often. A lot of times I'll thread something else in there. I use the hook underneath to hang my bag from, keep stuff out of the snow. It's just nice to have a big flat surface there with many mounting options. I put some loops of paracord through, and then of course I actually have a tablet or phone holder, which is very useful as well. Keeps everything out of the snow and gives me just a little more surface area to work with, which is very, very convenient. I suppose you also could attach something like the Sunwayfoto CC-09, which is a barrel clamp style. You don't want to go too tight on this. It does have pads, but just have to be a little more careful about attaching it to your tripod. That's another option if you don't want to go with the TT-01. I like these kind a lot that attach to the hinge. I think it's probably one of the more quick on and off features. You just lift up on this, or you just loosen this up rather, and then press down on the button. You can slide these right off. That's cool, but these have their place, and I've brought these with for a few trips. These are the Nutrek 10Xs. Thank you to Nutrek for sponsoring some videos and sending those out to the channel. So I suppose if you didn't want to do a spotting scope, but you needed 2 different directions locked down, and you didn't want to try to monkey around with one of the binoculars, you could set them both up in 2 different directions and quickly just transfer from target to target. Depends how dynamic your shooting sports are, or your targets, what your field is like. And if you need, to see like really precise small targets at one distance, and then you want to switch over to a lower power, wider field of view optic, I suppose you could do something like that. Just trying to throw out some ideas. Very often for me, it'll be a pair of binoculars or a spotting scope, and I'll put my adapter on there. I'll record through that. Then I might set up a light, a kestrel or wind meter of some sort, and then also a camera to record the other way. And I've just found that I can use this for both shooting practically, spotting practically, hunting. There is some application there, as well as recording video all at the same time. And that's just with one, pretty affordable little tack plate like this. It's just designed well. And I think most people who have gone as far as to get a tripod would benefit from getting something like the TT-01. So do I recommend the TT-01 tack table? Yes, I do. The reasons I can get behind this is it's manufactured well, it's high quality, it's reliable, and the price is effective. I try to, at least on my channel, provide products that are for the common guy, the average guy out there in shooting sports who actually has to think about something before he clicks purchase. I'm not a rich man, and I probably am representative of many people who have to save up before purchasing something. They don't just buy endless amounts of gear. I don't have a fishing boat. I don't have a four-wheeler or other outside craft. I don't have really other hobbies. Shooting is my hobby, and I can't afford much of it. But with products like this, I can still perform well, and that's one of the things I love about Sunwayfoto as a brand, is they perform well. They seem to reach a lot of people who want to perform at a higher level. They need some particular or specialized gear, but they don't have the 40% more or 50% more for the cost, sometimes 80% more for the cost. I have seen tack tables going for $300 that are made out of the same materials with less features. So yeah, I recommend it. I'm trying to, at least on my channel, provide better and better values for the subscribers, the people who are watching. I can get a hold of those elite products, the really expensive ones. I have some pretty good connections, and I use some of those products. But as far as what I'm representing on my channel, I want to get as much as I can of products like this out into the hands of people who are just getting into the sport, or they have a budget that they're working on, because I feel like that's most people, even right now as the market seems to do a little bit better than it was 5 years ago. We don't have a lot of extra cash in our pockets, and we don't want to dump more money into gear if we don't have to. We want to spend more on ammo probably. But things like this serve a purpose, and it's worth reviewing, it's worth telling you about, it's worth continuing to use on my channel, and you will see it, obviously, one way or another, or you won't see it because the camera will be mounted on here. And I can tell you guys, Sunwayfoto as a brand, just across, umbrella term, Sunwayfoto, I like most of what they have. I've had very few issues with any designs, and if I send something back, they're very receptive. I found now that they have some representation in the States, the gentleman who's in charge of communications with this side of things, their customer service is excellent. They get you taken care of very quickly if anything were to ever happen, or you just have questions about a product, how to use a product, compatibility. They're doing really, really well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw in 2025 Sunwayfoto take a huge bite out of the market of some of those more expensive products that are not performing any better than these are. So I appreciate that you watched this video. If you've stuck around this long, would you please consider liking, sharing, subscribing to my channel. Subscribing really helps. Comments really help, actually. Giving a little thumbs up does do something for the algorithm. I'm trying to grow my channel just like everybody else is, but I'm trying to represent well the people that I see who are subscribing, and it just means a lot to me, actually, if you would do that. You can look forward to more SHOT Show coverage coming up really soon. You're going to see a little bit more from a lot of the brands I've been talking about in the last few weeks.